finally, the last part of the application that we're going to look at is to list all the customers who have unpaid fines or overdue videos. And we're going to need to list them in order of their debt to the video store. This allows us to prioritize which customers we should chase, phone up, etc. I'm going to do this a slightly different way round to the way I've done with each of the other functions. I'm going to first of all show you what the particular function actually does. As you can see, each of these is now ordered. So we notice John Flickwatcher owes a lot of money. He has $18 owing on a very late DVD here. He also has $3.20 which is unpaid. Presumably he put back another video at some point and forgot to take heat back. So as you can see, what we need to do to get this particular function to work is to pull into the application a list of all the customers that owe money and order them by the amount that they owe. Now, there are two ways in which we could accomplish this. One way would be to simply pull in all the information regarding the customers and the copies of videos that they have out, and then let the application sort through them and order them. The reason why this might seem an obvious choice is that the actual debts that the customers owe to the video store are not held in any one place. Their debts are partially held in the unpaid column for videos that have been returned without paying and so on, and the other debts are worked out by the degree to which their videos that they've got out are overdue. So it's not simply a matter of ordering the customers by the unpaid column. The disadvantage with letting the application process this side of the query is that it's not what the application is good at. The application is good at complicated things like user interaction and presenting information on the screen. MySQL, on the other hand, is good at querying data and pulling up results very fast. So let's see how we can translate this quite complicated issue into a MySQL query. As you may have guessed, this is one of the most complex queries we're going to have to carry out within this application. There's only one query that occurs in the listDebtors.php script, and this query looks like this. Now, this may seem a rather formidable amount of information, but let's look at it point by point and see exactly what is being done with this query. First of all, if we look at the from clause here, you'll notice that all the information is being pulled purely from the customers table, the charges table, and the copies table. The charges information is only accessing the amount that has to be paid per day late. So that table is not even joined onto the others. The rented to column of the customers table joins with the customer's ID over here in this clause, and that allows us to find all the copies of videos that a particular customer has out at the moment. We're grouping this information by the customer ID, and we're ordering by the owing column. Now, what is this owing column? There's no owing column on any of the tables. If we look up at the top, at the part that I've been deliberately avoiding up to this point, we'll see that the fields that we're returning, or columns that we're returning, are the ID of the customers, their first name, their surname, and this particular owing column, which we've generated from this particular piece of SQL. Now this column is calculated by adding customers' unpaid fines to a sum, which, if you remember, is an aggregate function which we can use to add up information within multiple rows of a table. The amount, the charge amount, which means the particular amount it costs to have a video late for a day, multiplied by, and here we have an if function, and this if function takes a look at whether the current number of days, that's what the 2days function here does, of the current date minus the current number of days on the due date of the copy of the video is greater than 0. So in other words, if it's overdue, then multiply the amount by the number of days by which it is overdue. Otherwise, multiply by 0. The reason why we're including this particular if function is that if the video is not overdue, if it's not going to be due for another 2 days, the last thing we want is for the amount of the overdue video to be multiplied by -2, effectively giving the customer credit simply for returning a video early. This is not something that we wish to do. So we have to use the if function to discriminate between late videos and early videos. So with this query, we are able to access the information within the list debtors script. That concludes the summary of the building of the database. I've included absolutely everything that you'll need to run the application in the source code provided with this CD. So as long as you have a web server software, you have PHP installed, and of course if you have MySQL, which I have to assume you do considering that you've progressed this far through the course, then you'll be able to run this application for yourself and take it to pieces and have a play around with the way it works. Some of the queries that have been included in this application may have seemed a little imposing, but I hope by breaking it down I've been able to show you how in a relatively real-life application, this of course was only a sample application produced for this title, but it fulfills approximately real-world needs. We're able to use MySQL as a very flexible and powerful tool for the back end of a complex application. I hope you've enjoyed this course. I've certainly enjoyed creating this title, and I hope you have every success with your database development in the future.